Did you know there were two Boston Tea Parties? After the success of the first one, Bostonians held a second one on March 7, 1774. The loss of tea cost the British government the equivalent of $3 million in today's currency.
Colonists were angered by the presence of British soldiers in the colonies, especially in Boston. One fateful night, a group of redcoats would be tested by an irate mob of colonists. No one knows exactly what started the confrontation, but the outcome is certain. Samuel Adams took control and made sure colonists knew that blood had been spilled.
What are the qualities of a good leader?
Loving but firm.
They have to have confidence.
Somebody who also is just very strong emotionally.
Daring, compassionate.
Bold, gracious, noble. They should be fair and honest, and they should do the right thing.
Smart, dependable.
Wise.
Always do the right thing.
He knows what's good for the people.
And make decisions based on that.
In the middle of the 1700s, Great Britain had 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast of North America. The colonists who lived there enjoyed what seemed like an unlimited supply of cheap land. They were proud to be a part of Britain, and proud of the rights they enjoyed as British subjects. But trouble began in 1763, when the British government banned the colonists from settling farther west. Overnight, the colonists were denied precious new land, and with it, opportunity. Many ignored the proclamation and continued to settle in those forbidden lands. But they could not ignore the next action the British took, the Stamp Act of 1765. The Stamp Act required that every piece of paper sold in the colonies, from pamphlets to playing cards, have a revenue stamp. The colonists complained that the British had never imposed such a tax on Americans before. Angry colonists boycotted British goods. Some even rioted in protest. As the riots and boycotts continued, the British were forced to give in. Less than a year after the Stamp Act came into effect, the British Parliament repealed the tax law. But Parliament soon approved other duties and taxes, and tensions mounted in the colonies. Britain sent troops to Boston to maintain order and enforce its taxes. On March 5, 1770, an angry mob in Boston gathered around 9 British soldiers, or redcoats. The crowd began to taunt them and threaten them with wooden clubs and sticks. When their shouts did not provoke the soldiers, the crowd threw ice at them, and some in the crowd even yelled "Fire!" When a colonist named Richard Palm struck a soldier with a club, a shot finally rang out. Other shots quickly followed. Some witnesses later claimed that Captain Thomas Preston, the commander of the British troops, ordered his soldiers to fire. Others said the soldiers fired their weapons on their own. The soldiers themselves said their shooting was in self-defense. When the smoke cleared, 5 colonists lay dead or dying. Samuel Adams, one of the leaders of the anti-British protests, saw an opportunity in this tragedy. He and his allies began calling the incident the Boston Massacre. They helped rouse further anger against the British with articles and pictures that described British soldiers shooting at unarmed civilians. The British tried to calm the colonists by bringing the soldiers to trial. In the end, juries made up of colonists ruled that Preston and most of his men had fired in self-defense. Only 2 of Preston's soldiers were convicted, but they were only found guilty of manslaughter. The trials helped calm American anger. Parliament also tried to appease the colonies by repealing all the duties it had enacted, except one. England would not overturn the tax on tea. Within a few years, this tax added to the colonists' growing resentment toward the British, and conflict erupted again. first along the docks of Boston, and then across the colonies.
You've been given all the information. Now it's your turn to discuss the questions. Take a moment to talk about the following.
Why did the British need to tax the colonies?
What were the effects of Samuel Adams calling the event in Boston a massacre?
If you'd like to learn more about what you've just seen, go online or check out these books at your local library.